Hello, welcome back and welcome in. My name is NickyWheeler. If you're interested in gaming, go subscribe to my other channel and follow my Twitch to see my gaming live. Now, let's start this video. Today, I will be discussing Mothica. She is well known for her songs Buzzkill and Vices, both of which are incredible tracks that follow her signature genres of pop punk and electro pop. Starting off, I wanted to talk about the EP she released before her major debut titled Ashes. This record consisted of 7 songs, and my top ones were Water Me Down and Up in Flames. First, with Water Me Down, the songs explored the traditional themes of emotional vulnerability and finding self-worth. The lyrics suggest that the anger issues are the root of most of the relationship problems, and they express how much they want to be better and have many regrets, including replaying past conflicts. The chorus emphasizes that point of calling for acceptance and authenticity. One thing I like lyrically about this chorus is that it asserts themselves and reflects the partner's ideals more than their own, telling them if they don't accept their flaws, then they shouldn't be together. The bridge, though, denotes the singer's internal struggle to maintain that self-worth and convey their true feelings. Despite all of the challenges in the relationship, they still try as hard as they can, and that shows in the lines from the bridge. And I've been trying to keep my heart strong, even when you gave up, there's nothing left for me. I love the delivery in this song. It felt so proud, but still kind of scared, like as they were singing, she was gaining confidence throughout. I can confidently say, though, as much as I love the song, the actual music behind it just didn't feel like it belonged to the record or Mothica as an artist. I see her as a much darker and louder instrumental. Besides that, I don't think the song has many flaws. Next, we can talk about the second song, Up in Flames. This one is a little more fitting to Mothica as a singer. It is more intense, though still very strong in that electropop genre. It generally talks about the gradual dwindling of trust and miscommunications. The lyrics are quite introspective and leans into the heavy imagery to show and capture the reality of turmoil and the inevitable breaking point of a lost relationship. In the first verse, we come to see the recognition and acceptance of shortcomings of the singer and how there is a responsibility to talking in the relationship to build trust, but there is a depth that is added to hint to destructive behaviors. It is easy to not realize in the moment, but these behaviors lead to patterns in the future for you, so breaking them early on would be the best so there is no remorse later. My favorite part of this song was the second verse because it's the confrontational part. We see Mothica confront the partner about the hypocrisy about being innocent and playing victim. It is so simple with very little lyrics, but when you keep listening, it breaks itself apart and becomes so apparent. In the outro, the repetition of going up in flames, coupled with the acknowledgement of guilt in the closing lines, reinforces that theme of acceptance and understanding in the relationship's fate. The overall theme of this song, and EP actually, is exploration and the self-acceptance side of an ending relationship. I only decided to choose 2 songs to talk about because I think this EP just wasn't for me. I like the growth and change of genres Mothica has made over the years, and her newer work is definitely more my speed. That being said, we can move into the second piece, which is her major debut record, Blue Hour. This album consisted of 12 songs that were alternative pop and alt-rock, while still keeping some of that electro aspects in there. Some of my favorite tracks were Everything at Once, Blackout, Spiral, and Crash. Everything at Once was the second on the album and is about dealing with depression. The song captures a sense of profound anxiety, restlessness, and an inner turmoil, as highlighted in the chorus. Said I'm fine, but we both know I'm faking. I'm not feeling numb, I'm just feeling everything at once. The lyrics express the exhaustion of continually putting on a facade for others, pretending to be fine when deep down the artist is grappling with some overwhelming emotions. The line, "Hate when you ask how I'm doing, I know that you're just assuming," reflects the struggle of feeling misunderstood or not fully seen by others. I think with this song, delivery was definitely the most important. This album as a whole, actually. You can say all these things and not mean it, but the way you say it matters. She expresses all of these feelings individually and all together. It makes it really seem like something is happening at once. That overwhelming feeling you get when time gets ahead of you and how your brain just kind of shuts down is serious, and describing it is one of the most difficult things ever because you don't know what's going on. This song helps with those nerves musically and lyrically. It leaves us with another person who feels this way and recounts all of these emotions. Blackout was the next song I wanted to go into because it portrays a tale of being trapped in a toxic relationship where emotions and internal struggles and personal anxieties all contribute to one vicious cycle of self-destruction. The song emphasizes the impact of the individual's own choices and emotional vulnerabilities on their overall well-being. The self-awareness displayed in the lyrics alludes to the person realizing their own role and responsibilities in their struggles. They acknowledge being their own worst enemy and attribute the difficulties they face to their own anxiety. This suggests a deeper introspection and recognition of personal flaws and insecurities. There are actually 3 verses in this song, which is another reason why I liked it, because that isn't very typical in most songs, let alone a pop and alternative song. In the 3rd verse, we touch on the inner turmoil subject and how she seems like she's losing their sense of self. However, despite this struggle, they are drawn to the chaos and intensity of the relationship. Again, I think the delivery and lyric quality definitely carried this song more than the music itself, though the music is like chef's kiss. That follows into the 3rd song, Spiral. This one talks more on the resilience aspect of mental health, and in the 1st verse, the singer reflects on the presence of someone who loves and cares for them even when they struggle to love themselves. It highlights that idea that even in moments of self-doubt and insecurity, there is people who support and think of you, which definitely needs to be said more than people realize. The bridge is my favorite part here because it spotlights a shared experience of suffering, implying a connection between the singer and the listener. It offers solace, which is what everyone needs, especially if you're listening to something like Blue Hour. Crash was the last song I wanted to talk about from this album, and this song is about the struggle to find fulfillment. The lyrics depict a sense of emotional and psychological turmoil as the protagonist reflects on their current state and desires for something more. I think in the chorus, the repetition of the word crash signifies a breaking point or reaching the edge, representing a desperate need for change and progression. The verses delve into feelings of uncertainty and loss of control. Sitting on the ocean floor, unable to swim, symbolizes a place of stagnation and isolation. The lyrics express a fear of feeling too much and being vulnerable, and specifically with the line, "If I'm not numb, I feel afraid." It conveys the struggle to find balance and navigate emotions, questioning whether this emotional state will be permanent. This song I can applaud for a lot louder than the others because it sticks out lyrically. It isn't complicated or anything, but it is kind of tumultuous in a way. It isn't in your face, but it is obvious what we are talking about. It's hard to convey that feeling I got while listening to this song for the first time, but it was close to the feeling of listening to pretty much any Anson Seabra song. Okay, finally, we get to the 2nd studio album, Nocturnal, which is by far the most rock-infused album by her to date, and it capitalizes off of the loud sounds. For an album that is supposedly about nighttime, obviously it is loud lyrically and musically. My favorite tracks were Nocturnal, Sensitive, Casualty, and Last Cigarette. The song Nocturnal is about overcoming struggles and trying to find a way to heal. The singer tries different forms of self-destruction and control, but nothing works. It isn't until they are able to accept the dark and acknowledge their struggles that they begin to see a light at the end of the tunnel. As the chorus says, "Don't got a need for sleep, stuck in a lucid dream, daylight's not for me, that's why I'm nocturnal." The bridge repeats, "That's why I'm nocturnal," symbolizing the idea that even though the singer is facing adversity, they can still find strength and hope in the darkness. I also just love the idea of repetition in music, even though I have knocked it in several of my other videos. It hits different when the song actually has some sort of serious meaning like this one because it highlights the meaning over and over and over again. Also, the addition of ad-libs in this was a great choice because it filled the space of silence and it also mimicked a sort of scream, which allowed the story to be told and brought to life further. The next song, Sensitive, delves into the personal struggles and emotional vulnerabilities of the singer herself. The lyrics express a sense of isolation and discomfort with the outside world. The singer finds solace in staying in bed and overthinking. The song definitely has some high relatability with myself and so many other listeners. You never know that intense feeling until it happens to you, and I don't wish that feeling on anybody. A constant boulder being on your chest is not fun at all. With this song, it segued into multiple topics at hand just with the chorus and could be broadened to be more than anxiety and depression, which is what I love about it. As a standalone single, it would have worked well for Mothica even if it didn't go on the album. I think this is one of the stronger pieces right after Nocturnal because it uses an instrumental solo to break the high-strung lyrics, which is an amazing creative choice that I thoroughly enjoyed. She also used a lot of guitar in this song as well as the rest of the album, but it was the main piece here, and that instrumental made it clear she wanted you to hear it. She delivers each line with a cheeky wink, and we aspire to actually care too much alongside her. The next song I wanted to highlight was Casualty. It was another single from this new era, and it reminds me of all the newer generations that were inspired by 2000s rock like Hot Milk or Gabby Hanna. And yes, I know, I'm sorry, but Rewired was really good. Casualty is a promise not to die by suicide or drug overdose, which was a very real trajectory for her because her family does have a past with alcoholism and depression, which she has been open about suffering from herself. The word casualty refers more to the numbers to represent how fatal a war is and doesn't really consider the individuality of each life lost. I think she wanted to point out all the failed systems of recovery and how you can do it yourself if you tried hard enough, and you will always have someone in your corner, even if you think there isn't. Being a casualty in one of the biggest death tolls in the US is as much as a bigger problem that needs to be talked about, and I think Mothica showed that very well in this song. The last track from this album I wanted to talk about was Last Cigarette. It features Aura, who is known for her songs Panic Room and the collaboration with Alan Walker, Dark Side. This song explores themes of self-destructive behavior again and the allure of forbidden love. The lyrics depict a protagonist who compares themselves to a cigarette, wanting to be treated as something addictive and disposable. They express a desire to be put down and picked up again, implying a longing for the excitement and thrill that comes with such a tumultuous connection. In the second verse, Aura joins in and describes the emotional attachment and longing they feel when the protagonist leaves. They feel a constant desire to have them back, even though it causes them pain and leaves lasting scars on their heart and mind. I thought the phrases, "gotta trapwire the door," and "tattooing my scars" illustrate the desperation and intensity of their emotions. The emotion behind this song, along with the smooth instruments, also added so much comfort to it. Just to be followed by another song and then an interlude makes the story so much better. It moves so fast and it's so enticing and keeps you locked in. One thing I wanted to mention about this album was the interludes. There are a total of 3 interludes, each labeled with the Roman numerals for each number. Typically, I really despise interludes with an album, but this one, it helped move the story along, and it was also nostalgic in a way because it had that like 50s, 60s recording for a narrator interrupting. It was so sweet, like you were a child again getting read a bedtime story. I thought it was a nice touch to the album and added so much ambiance to it. Now, this is where I'm going to move into the rankings of the album, and I'm going to include Ashes here just because it stands with my point that I'm going to discuss afterwards. This is going to be a best to worst scale, taking lyrics, music composition, and vocal capabilities into account. At number 1, I have Nocturnal. Number 2 is Blue Hours, and number 3 is Ashes. Okay, so I wanted to include Ashes here because I think it proves the point of growth. Just in the 2 years between Blue Hour and Ashes, Mothica seemed to find her sound and what she wanted to be as an artist, though her intent never changed. Musically, going from a song like Water Me Down to Nocturnal is a huge jump, and I enjoyed it. I think she has proved herself as a force in both pop and rock, and I'm glad she shed the pop and electronic sound for the most part in place of rock because, vocally speaking, her voice definitely suits the more hard instruments, kind of like how baby metal basically formed the kawaii metal genre because their voices seem to rock along with the instruments rather than just being there to be there. Anyway, I think I'm going to end the video there. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Comment down below for what I should cover next, and until next time, bye guys.